I want to take a couple of minutes and go over some of the problems that were the most missed yesterday. So problem number 6 was asking for domain, and they gave you a picture. So if you're looking at domain, what you're going to do is focus on the x number. So I highlighted the x-axis. I don't even want to look at any of the y numbers. So on the x-axis, I look to see what was the furthest left point, and I look to see what's the very furthest right point. The right one, though, had an arrow, so it doesn't stop. It's going to keep going right forever and ever, so my x's keep going forever and ever this way. But on this side, it does stop. It does not have an arrow. So since it's not going both directions, it's not going to be all real numbers completely. It's just all the numbers to the right of -2. So I'm going to start here at the -2, and all of my x's are going to go that direction. So I want all the numbers bigger than -2, because right is bigger, left is smaller. So all numbers bigger than -2. So if I look at my answer choices, the first one just says all real numbers, and they gave these little infinity symbols. That's another way they could write that. X's are between -infinity and +infinity. And I don't have that answer because I did not go left. It started here and just went right. The next one says all real numbers greater than 2. Kind of sounded right, but mine's a -2, not a +2. So it's not that one. So I cross off A, cross off B. Then it says all real numbers greater than -2. So I come over here and look, well, there's my -2, and it is to the right, so I kind of like that one, but I check the last one, all real numbers greater than or equal to -2. If it's equal to it, that dot up there should be solid, and it is not solid, so it is not equal to, it's just greater than. So I'm going to knock off D and choose C on that one. So that's how you kind of work your way through those. Now, the other one I wanted to look at is number 7. What value of K makes the equation true? So we are solving this equation. This is Unit 1 stuff. So draw the line if you still like drawing the line, and you simplify each side. So I look at the left side, 10k minus 7 are not like terms, and there are no parentheses, so nothing to simplify. I check the right side. They're not like terms, and there's no parentheses to do any distribution, so there is nothing to simplify. A k and a 15 cannot be added together because they are not like terms. If the 15 had a k, then I could put them together. So since there's nothing left to simplify, I'm ready to start moving things around. But first thing I check to see, are the k's on one side or two sides? And sure enough, the k's are on both sides. So before I do anything else, I want to get the k's to one side. So I'm thinking, well, you know what? Let's just move the 7k over here to where the 10k is. So right now, this is a positive 7k. So how do you undo adding 7k? You're going to do the opposite operation, which is subtract 7k. And if you do it to one side, you're going to do it to the other side. And then I'm going to redraw a line, rewrite it. Of course, the 7k's over here canceled out, which is why we did it. The -15 comes down. The equal sign comes down. And then over here, I still have the -7, but I've got 10 minus 7, and that gives me 3k. So now the k's are over here on the left side. All I need to do is get rid of the 3 and get rid of the -7. Of course, this is multiplication and this is subtraction. We solve in reverse PEMDAS order, so I'm going to undo the add subtraction before I undo the multiplication. So the opposite of subtraction is add 7. If I do it to one side, I do it to the other side. I rewrite the problem, the 7's are gone. 3k is equal to, and then let's see, -15 plus 7, I think that's going to give me a lovely -8. Yep, 7 of my good guys killed 7 of my bad guys, so I'm left with 8 bad guys. How do you get k by itself? Divide by 3, divide by 3. So k is equal to -8/3, and all the answers were in fraction form, so all I had to do was pick that out. Did not have to change it to a decimal. Now, problem number 10. It was a big word problem, and it was blah, 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 blah. I never read the word problems if I don't have to. I jumped down to the end, and toward the end I saw a sub 1 equals 16, so my immediate thought was, oh, this is a sequence, and that is the first number in the sequence. And then it says a sub n is equal to a sub n minus 1 plus 32. So that formula, the only thing that's visible in it is plus 32, so I know the math for this sequence is add 32. I'm going to add 32, get the next number, add 32, get the next number, and so on. It says how far did the object fall in the 5th second. So taking an educated guess, I'm thinking I'm looking for the 5th term, and you would have been right. So all you had to do was take 16, add 32 to that, and get a 48, add 32 again, and so forth until you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then count carefully, make sure you're on the 5th term. So it was just a simple sequence one. Okay, so don't get freaked out when you see those word problems. Now, number 11 was a trickier sequence problem. Okay, now this appears from the posters. Okay, remember Unit 2 posters are on the walls and they're on the resources for you guys to look at. So make sure you go and look at these when you're doing these word problems. The question is, which is not a formula for the nth term of this particular sequence? And so that nth term is my explicit formula. Any term can be found by taking a sub 1 plus the d, parentheses, n minus 1. We drop in the a sub 1, we drop in the d. So when you look at this series of the sequence down here, this pattern of numbers, the first one is a negative 35. So my a sub 1 is a negative 35. So when I look at all these formulas down here, I see f of x, I see y, I see a sub n, and y. All of these are the same as my a sub n or my y or my f of x. F of x is y. Y is y. A sub n is another way to say y. There's my y equals. So all of these are saying y equals. If it's an f of x, they used x as the variable. If it's a y, they're going to use the x, because those are the two variables. If it's a sub n, it's like my function notation, they're using the n for the variable. And then y and my x's. That's because everything has two variables, a y and an x. Okay, so there's the different formulas that we're looking for. I'm looking for one that starts with a negative 35, but I need to know what the d number is, or the multiplication number. So I'm looking at all these negative numbers. I don't like looking at those, but from 5 to 25, I'm pretty sure that's to add 20. And then from 25 to 45, it's, yep, add 20 again. So I'm adding 20. So here's my first formula. F of x equals negative 35, my first term, plus 20, parentheses, x minus 1. Bingo, that matches my formula exactly up there. It's just instead of using the a sub n and n's, they used f of x, and x. But it's the exact same thing. There's my first term, and there's my plus 20. Now this one doesn't look anything like it, so I'm going to skip it for right now. But here's my a sub n. There's the first term. Here's my n minus 1, but they put the 20 after it. Could they have just, but the parentheses and the 20 are being multiplied together. And does order matter in multiplication? 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. So all you had to do is rewrite it with the 20 with the n minus 1 after it. And these two things are identical. So this is the exact same formula. It's just that they put the 20 behind the parentheses instead of in front of it. So if it helps you to write the little 20 up here in front and get rid of it over there, it's the exact same formula. So both of those work. Now between one of these is not going to be the right one. What they will do if you don't see anything with an n minus 1 or an x minus 1 in it is they simplified the left hand, or I'm sorry, they simplified this right hand side. So I'm going to write this one down here. This is negative 35 plus 20 times x minus 1. And I should have put this somewhere where I had more room. But what they did was they took this right-hand side and they simplified by doing the distributive property. 20 times x, I'm going to move it over here, is 20x. 20 times negative 1 is minus 20. And I still have the minus 35 sitting in front of this. So then you can combine like terms. All we do is distribute that 20 to get rid of parentheses. The 35 and the 20 can go together, so that leaves me with 20x, bad guys and bad guys, minus 55. So the right-hand side will simplify down to 20x minus 55. If I come up here and look at my choices, 20x minus 55, yep. Does this one say 20x minus 55? No, so that is the answer. That was not the right formula for that particular sequence. So if you're looking for that a sub n formula with the n minus 1 in it and you don't see any, distribute that right-hand side and simplify it, and you will have a formula that will match. Okay, last one we're going to look at is function notation. So I'm going to get rid of this over here. That was the other problem. F of x equals this lovely equation. That's my y equals. And they say find f of 4. Remember, this is shorthand. As soon as you see the f of 4, they want you to find y when x is what number? X is the 4. You can see right there that the x is inside the parentheses, and now the 4 is inside the parentheses. So they're plugging in a 4 for the x. So all you're doing is just this right-hand side, negative 3, parentheses right here, x squared. So there's my x. The squared is outside the parentheses. Plus 5x, put the parentheses where the x is, right there, 5x, minus 2. And then what number are we dropping in for the x's? 4. So drop them inside the parentheses. And then you're just doing this right-hand side in the add-subtract calculator. Okay, we're not putting the whole equation in and graphing it. We are just doing this math, simplifying the math in the scientific calculator. Okay, so you're just going to plug all this in. Remember that, get the 2 up there. Without the Inspire calculator, you're just going to put that Shift 6 key, which is that little rooftop key, and it will make it into an exponent, and then you type in the 2. So you'll do the 3, change it to a negative, parentheses with the 4 inside, close the parentheses, Shift 6, put the 2 in, then tab over so you're out of the exponent, and then plus 5, parentheses again, 4, close the parentheses, subtract 2. So make sure you make this a subtract 2, okay? And then you need to practice putting these in the scientific calculator, and you will get the answer on that. That's it. Bye, guys.